Urban fantasy is an awesome way to incorporate fantastic elements into a grounded, gritty, and realistic setting. While it can be driven by the familiar tropes common to the fantasy genre, real-world elements come into play to solidify the characters and their story in something wholly unique. I'm your host, Garrett K. Jones. Join me as we jump into the final interview of the 2024 Author Awareness April Marathon. Welcome to The Right Way, where we talk book recommendations, creative writing tips, and this month especially, author interviews. I have another great marathon interview for you, but I have a few announcements before we slide into this week's conversation, starting with Free Comic Book Day and Star Wars Day. Both of those are coming up next week, and I'm excited because while there has been some proximity in the past between these two events, it's rare for the dates to actually overlap. I'll be down at DJ's Collectible Shop in beautiful downtown Hanford, signing and selling copies of all 5 books in my ongoing fantasy series, The Archives of Async Ran. Now, I love getting opportunities to talk with prospective readers, as well as catching up with people who are already getting into the series. If you don't know anything about my books, check out this trailer for Book 5, The Mantle of the Fatherless.
The 5 kingdoms are in a state of disarray. Vampires overrun the east. The halflings have closed their borders after a vicious assault. The nation's values have been ignored in favor of incorporating slave labor. In the midst of this chaos, 3 young individuals struggle to understand who they are because they need to reconcile their respective pasts. Each misses the one relationship that would help them fit the broken pieces back together, but their individual searches are threatened by great danger and adversity, testing their resolves and what they know about themselves. How will these young heroes carry the mantle of the fatherless?
I've been making this announcement for the last few weeks because I have a free signed poster that I would love to give away to one lucky winner. But I can't do that until I've reached my goal of 200 subscribers on YouTube. Entry to the giveaway is 100% absolutely free. Once you've registered, make sure to subscribe to the channel and I'll announce the winner once I hit that magic number of 200 subscribers. Lastly, I want to let you guys know about my writing workshops that I have coming up through the late spring and going into the summer. I have signed up to begin writing workshops at the Hanford branch of the Kings County Library once again. I love my subscribers and I love the people who attend my classes because they're absolutely the best. It is entirely possible that I will have had that information and given it out prior to the airing of this episode, but I want you guys to be in the know. Now, let's kick off this awesome final interview. So this week I got to interview an amazing East Coast author who has developed a pretty cool urban fantasy series that feels like an equal parts of Avatar: The Last Airbender meets superheroes meets some of the more recent YA urban fantasy that's out there. I connected with Torrie through our mutual connection with Winifred Summer, who was last season's Righties Award-winning Author Awareness April interviewee, and she was featured as the November guest host for my Top 10 segment. And so she connected me and Torrie, and I really enjoyed the conversation. And I hope you enjoy this final interview of Author Awareness April. All right. Hi, Torrie. Thank you for joining me on the show. It is a pleasure to have you. Tell me about what it is that you write.
Well, I write urban fantasy slash action adventure. I want to say it's a mixture of the two. I don't like to really label my writing, but you got to label it something, right?
Yep. So tell me a little bit about your series.
Okay, well, it's called Reborn the Book Series. It's going to be about each book is going to be based on a character and their counterpart and how they get to understand how they're involved in the cosmic war that's going on. So you get to learn about each, because it's going to be a 6 book series. So you get to learn about each main character and how their supporting characters surrounding them, and how they're going to be involved in everything that's going on in the world.
Wow, that's really focused because then it takes characters who were like a primary in one book, makes them a secondary or a third level character in the next.
Hmm.
That's really cool.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. I'm in the middle of. I'm actually almost complete with book 2, going into making notes for book 3 and 4 and stuff. So this is exciting. I like this part. I do.
How much overlap or like revamp of different of the same scene do you have to do for each book? Is there any of that kind of overlap where you have like the same scene from book 1 told in book 2 from a different perspective?
So far with book 1 and book 2, yes, I do. There's I won't say, I don't want to tell too much of the story, but basically there is going to be different characters. So when you run across different characters, you may get a memory or them speaking on a situation that happened previously from their perspective.
That's awesome. So how did you get into writing? Was this something that you've always wanted to do, or was it like you just got to this point where you're like, you know what, I feel like I want to write a book?
Well, I'm gonna be honest. I've been an avid reader since I was little. My dad made me start reading when I was like 3 or 4 years old, reading the funny papers. Telling my age right now, calling them the funny papers.
Right there
But
with you.
I've always liked to read, and I've read different genres of books. I used to be into sci-fi, urban fantasy, romance novels. Like I said, I grew up just reading different books, especially coming from where I come from. Sometimes you want to escape your reality, and books were one of the things that I did to kind of help me get through some of my tough times in my life. And as I got older, I felt that some of the books that I liked didn't really resonate with characters that looked and acted or even came from places like me. So I've always been into like superhero stuff and Marvel and DC, Team Marvel, of course. But but so I've always just wanted to have stories that included me too. You know, so like I said, as I got older, it just started getting a little bit more frustrating as I started diving into deeper into the sci-fi and the fantasy novels, and I noticed that the lack of myself or people like myself, and I said, why not write a book, write one?
So, what are some of your inspirations? You mentioned superheroes, specifically Marvel, Ninja Turtles, GI Joe. What are some of the other things that you draw inspiration from? Is there any music that you write to when you're in the creative zone? What do you draw from?
Oh, I'm a big hip hop head. I'm an 80s baby. So, yes, I am a big 90s and early 2000s hip hop head. You wouldn't believe it. This book 1, honestly, it was J. Cole's album and Nas, It Was Written. Those was the 2 albums that I could say I listened to on, you can say, repeat writing my book. And Dave East. I actually got into Dave East because of that album. I got put on the Dave East through, I think, something through Nas, and I ended up listening to Dave East too while I was writing. But yes, I really, real, yeah, hip hop head. I just like it, and it's funny because I incorporated some of that into my book as well. So you'll
That's
see that.
So, what has been one of the biggest challenges that you've encountered in creating your series?
Staying focused. As an author, we can have ADD horribly.
Yes.
So staying focused, and making sure I really carve out that time to write. I can honestly say, I started writing my book maybe in 2019. I would say 2019, 2020. It
Mhm.
didn't come at the end of 2021 because I just needed to. I honestly could say it took me less than 6 months to actually write the book once I actually focused and sat down. That's what I mean by the book. I'm meant to tell the story because the book is really telling itself. I'm going to do a video one day, a TikTok video one day, where I can actually show my watchers where I can really sit down, read maybe 2 sentences that I wrote prior to that, and then flow straight into the story. And it comes out awesome. I'm sorry. And marketing. I'm not good at marketing.
Yeah, neither am I. So what advice would you give to any other would-be authors out there who are watching this interview and just wanting to see, what you have for them?
Just do it. It's your idea. Why not? Do it. You never know who you can help. You never know what you find out about yourself, because I feel like I discovered a lot of things about myself also with writing this book series. So just do it. It's okay. Sometimes, and don't think of it as you're trying to get rich either, because that's not what it is. If you just have a dope story to tell it. It's okay. You never know who you can help, and you never know what message you could be bringing for other people.
So we're getting ready to wrap up the interview, Torrie. How can people get a hold of you? How can they get a hold of your books? And what's the best way to go about doing that?
Well, right now, my book is on print right now. We're on Amazon. You can get it, Reborn the Book Series. The first book is called Sun, but I will say, because of Amazon, type in Sun by Torrie Q Jones in the book section, and you should be able to find it. You can also follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Reborn the Book Series. And I'm also on TikTok as well.
Very cool. Well, Torrie, thank you very much for joining me. This has been an absolute blast.
Yes, it has. It has. Thank you. Just thank you. I'm nervous as heck, but thank you.
You're very welcome. A huge thank you to Torrie Q Jones for being my final guest for this year's marathon. Now, if you're interested in picking up copies of her work or connecting with her through social media, you can find those links down in the video description. If you'd like to see a longer uncut edition of my conversation with Torrie, you can do so as a channel supporter by going to patreon.com/GKJ Publishing for as little as $1 per month. All patron levels get access to the unedited interviews and or parts of those conversations that don't get included in what pops up on YouTube. Thanks for watching. If you haven't done so, make sure to like, subscribe, and click the bell for notifications on new videos just like this one. I'll be posting content on Instagram and YouTube from Free Comic Book Day /Star Wars Day down at DJ's Collectible Shop next week. And I'll be back on May 11th with the full-length May episode featuring a new top 10 book recommendations list from my War of the Stars podcast co-host, John Martali. That is a mouthful to say. An interview with Nerd the Poet, and new creative writing tips focused on the poetry of acrostics. I'll see you then.